Most Etsy sellers are working harder than they need to. More designs, more listings, more tweaking, and still wondering why sales aren't growing. The problem isn't effort, it's strategy. Most sellers spend months or years trying to figure it out, trying random products, testing different designs, tinkering with SEO and ads. And while that's all part of the process, if you spend too much time tweaking the wrong things instead of focusing on what matters, then it can be a waste of time. After over 5 years of selling print-on-demand products on Etsy and helping students generate millions of dollars in print-on-demand sales, I can tell you exactly where a lot of time is getting lost. So in today's video, I'm going to share 7 strategies that I would have found really helpful when I first got started, and I hope make your journey so much easier. And before we dive in, I did want to announce that my private community is now officially open. So if you're interested in being in a wonderful community of successful sellers that are all supporting each other, then I'd love for you to check it out down below. I'll have it linked, or you can also comment the word community. We do weekly live calls, weekly live listing reviews. You get monthly trend reports. And you can ask any questions you have and get support right away. So if that's something that you might be interested in, again, comment the word community or check it out down below, and then let's dive right into it. Strategy number 1 is to become the customer before you become the seller, especially if you are not a normal Etsy shopper. I know before I started selling on Etsy, I did actually shop on Etsy somewhat for presents a few times before that, but I wouldn't have said that I was a normal Etsy shopper. So if you've never bought anything on Etsy before, this step's going to be extra important for you. So you can still pick your product or even pick the niches that you want to sell on Etsy, but a really good exercise to get started with before you even make anything is to actually go on Etsy and search for those products like a customer actually would. Open Etsy and type in something that you think your customer might be looking to buy. If you were looking for a Father's Day gift, would you type in Best Dad by Par shirt? Or do you think maybe as a buyer, you might not even know that that's something you're interested in? Would you maybe instead start by typing in something like golfing gifts for dad? And then scroll through the search results and see what gets you to stop scrolling. Competitor research is really important. And if you're brand new to starting a side hustle or your own business, that might sound like a really fancy term, but all it means is that you need to be looking at what your competitors are doing so you can learn and understand what buyers are currently searching for and what they're purchasing. And then it's going to be your job to make something better or different than what that seller has. And definitely not a cheap knockoff version, which we'll talk more about in the future strategies. But try to do this as an exercise. Try typing in 3 or 4 different things and just paying attention to where your eye goes, what you're drawn to, and why. And you'll learn so much from that of what types of photos to use for your product, what kind of colors to use for your designs, maybe even what types of fonts that you could use in your designs. Pay attention to how they're pricing their items and what other photos they include. Hopefully this exercise will help you really understand how buyers actually use the platform so you can make better listings right from the get-go. Because it's not about making listings that you think are perfect, it's about optimizing them for the customers who are already shopping on Etsy. It's the biggest benefit to selling on Etsy is that they're already bringing the customers. We just have to get in front of those customers with amazing products that they want to buy. And then on to strategy number 2, which is to stop making single product listings. Selling multiple products in one listing is going to make you more money, but maybe not for the reason that you think. Instead of just posting a shirt for sale on Etsy, now with Printify's newest update for their multi-product listings, they've made it so much simpler and easier than ever before to actually sell multiple products in one listing. So for that same example, let's say shirts, sweatshirts, and long sleeve shirts, all in one listing available for the customer to buy. Every once in a while, sure, you might have people who buy a shirt and a sweatshirt from you or a shirt and a long sleeve from you. But the reason why this actually makes you more money is it helps increase your conversion rate, which conversion rates on Etsy are really, really important. Your conversion rate is the amount of people who click your listing and then end up actually buying it. Now, a good conversion rate on Etsy is actually anywhere from 2% to 4%. So if you look in your Etsy stats and you're like, well, why am I only getting 1 or 2% of people to buy? You're actually not that far off. 2 to 4% is actually a pretty average conversion rate. But the higher a conversion rate on a listing, the more Etsy wants to promote you. So if even a couple extra people end up buying something like a sweatshirt or a long sleeve shirt when maybe they wouldn't have otherwise, that's going to raise that conversion rate and tell Etsy that this is a great listing that more people would buy if they put it in front of them. And again, this used to be such a hassle to make these multi-product listings, but now Printify has made that so much simpler. And if you've never heard of Printify, then Printify is the print-on-demand company that I use in my own business. They are a print-on-demand website that brings together hundreds of different printers. So if you've been wondering, how can I get started with my own Etsy business? If I have a full-time job, if I don't want to print and ship all of these products myself, then Printify could absolutely be the answer. And I do have a free account link for you down in the description, or comment the word Printify and I'll send that to you as well. Using the links down in my description definitely helps support my channel, so I appreciate anyone who uses those links. So the way that it works with Printify is you make the design, you publish it for sale on Etsy, but nothing actually gets printed physically until a customer orders it. When a customer orders a product from you, that order gets sent to Printify, Printify prints it, ships it to the customer, and all you have to do is make more great designs and handle the customer service. It's a great business model, again, for anyone who's brand new to starting their own business. So Printify's update for all of you who are already using Printify, all you have to do is add the products to Printify like you normally would, but just save them as a draft instead of publishing to Etsy. Then you select them, click the Make Multi-Product Listing button, tell it what type of product that is, and click Publish. And now you've got a listing on Etsy with those multiple products in it, and you can start having those high converting listings just like I'm talking about. And where this strategy gets really, really powerful is with actual group listings. So I'm talking about bachelorette party shirts, matching birthday shirts, family matching cruise shirts, matching teacher team shirts. It can really transform your business when you start getting 10 sales from every 1 customer instead of just 1. Here are a few wins from people in my private community right now. We've got Heather, she says, go birthday niche, biggest group order to date, 19 shirts. Nicole says, largest order yet. I sold 25 shirts in 1 order yesterday. And it's not just shirts. Kelsey says, just got my biggest order yesterday, a sale of 15 ornaments. And Michelle says, I just got a bachelorette order of 11 shirts. So if you're already selling in a niche, I would start thinking, how can I sell more products with this same design in my listing? Or how can I make group listings for this item type? Another great strategy if you're not selling clothing for some of your sales, if you're selling something like drinkware, ornaments, blankets, is instead of selling multiple products in your listing, sell multiple variations. So maybe if you were designing for a baby's first Christmas ornament, you would make 1 design and list it for sale normally. But instead, I'm talking about making 4 or 6 or 9 different designs for baby's first Christmas. And when the customer clicks on it, they'll actually see all of those different designs all in 1 listing. So if they didn't end up loving the first one, then they can shop your listing instead of going and shopping somewhere else. And using this strategy for my ornaments got me an over 7% conversion rate. I use this for candles, I use this for drinkware, for ornaments, and this is a great system. I know it can be a little overwhelming to do these for the first time, but I promise learning how to do these now will pay off so much in your business later. On to strategy number 3, which is to build a design system and not just designs. In the very beginning, it's going to be a process of learning how to actually make great designs, because on Etsy, there is a certain aesthetic that actually sells well, and that's boho design styles, line drawing graphics, watercolor graphics. It's not really a website where the super cartoony designs actually sell as well as maybe they do, say, on Amazon. It is typically women shopping on the platform, and you do need to do some research and understand the aesthetic and the types of looking designs that sell well on Etsy and how to make those in your own store without just copying someone else. This part will just come with practice. But once you get good at actually making designs, then the bottleneck actually becomes how to design consistently without burning out. Because this is probably not something you're getting to do full time. You probably have a full-time job, friends, family, kids, other commitments, and you're just getting to do this a couple hours a week. And so you can't waste time trying to find that creative bug and figuring out what to do next. You need to have a strategy and a plan to make getting listings up consistently in your store really easy and manageable. Sitting down and squeezing your brain for the next creative idea every time you go to design is one of the slowest ways to build your catalog on Etsy. It's also exhausting and inconsistent because some days we're on and some days we're not. You need a design system that helps you take action even when you're not feeling creative. So what actually works is building a system, a repeatable process that lets you sit down, take action, make designs, and get them uploaded without it feeling like a whole ordeal. So what could your design system actually look like? Step 1 is looking for inspiration every single day. This could mean for 10 minutes every single day, you go on Etsy and you look at bestsellers in general, not just in your niche. It's actually better to look at them in other niches or other products altogether. And I want you to look at the bestsellers, not to copy them, but I want you to start practicing and working your pattern recognition skills and seeing what are fonts you keep seeing over and over again. What types of graphics do you keep seeing? What types of layouts? Is the text pushed all the way to the left? Is there small minimalist text in the middle? Or a lot of people using stripes? You need to train your eye to really pick up on those patterns. Inspiration really is all around us, and creativity really is bringing 2 or 3 things you've seen before together in a new and unique way. So if you're having trouble staring at a blank white screen and just having no idea what to do next, you probably need to go look for some inspiration. Step 2 is creating reusable templates. That means once you've made some designs that you really like for a few niches, see if you can turn those into a template of sorts, where every time you go to make new designs, see if that layout, those fonts could work in the next sub-niche or the next type of design that you're making. And don't forget that simple really sells. Having a few templates with simple text-based design options, which text-based designs sell great on t-shirts, on mugs, on phone cases, on blankets. You can find simple designs selling across all different types of products. And those are the perfect ones to actually work on and implement when you're not feeling your most creative. If you're having a day where you really need to get some stuff done, but you're feeling a mental block, try and make a text-only design and just get it posted in your store. Because momentum doesn't come from you deciding that you're gonna get a bunch done today. Momentum comes from taking that first step, and then it's so much easier to keep the momentum going. And then step number 3 is batching. You can make all your designs in one session for the week. And the next time you sit down, you can make the SEO, make the mockups, and actually get them listed. Batching tasks can really help you actually get into that flow state that everyone talks about, that things start to finally feel easy and really start to flow creative-wise. If you find yourself switching from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, like getting distracted by a text, checking your emails, etc., it takes such a long time to really get back into things. So also try to maybe put your phone on Do Not Disturb and just give yourself small sections of time where you're completely focused. You'll really feel a difference with how much more creative you actually feel. Because to build a consistent income on Etsy, you do need to list consistently for a long period of time. In the beginning, I'd say you need to list consistently every week for about 3 months before you're gonna really start seeing that traction. Strategy number 4 is pricing smarter, not lower. A lot of new sellers think that competing on Etsy is about being the lowest price and that you can't compete unless you're the cheapest option out there. So they drop their prices, they absorb their shipping costs, and they slowly kill their margins. But we're not here to build a vanity metric store where we're gonna be so excited that we got 1,000 sales, but we actually didn't make any money. We're here to actually keep profit. So here's what surprised me over the last few years is that most top sellers have actually completely shifted away from offering free shipping. Almost every top shop on Etsy, when I do my own research, charges $4.99 or $5.99 shipping. And it might look like a lot of these top best-selling listings are selling their items for super cheap. You'll see prices when you're scrolling through Etsy of like $5, $8, $12, and you're wondering how they can even sell these things for a price that it costs me to actually make it. But what they're doing is they're actually including one really low priced item in the variations, and everything else is actually higher priced. Now, some people think that this is a sketchy way to do business, but there are honest ways to do it. One of my favorite ways to do it is to sell a tote bag or a candle or a mug in your listing with your exact same design on it, and then that item is less expensive than everything else. But best of all, it might actually be something that that customer is interested in buying, and they might buy that item as well. Since Etsy shows the lowest price item as the price in the search results, that's why it looks like a lot of items are priced a lot lower than you think they are. But don't let this trick you. Go into that listing and actually see what variation is priced at that item, and you'll see most of them are actually priced quite a bit higher. Make sure that you're pricing your items for anywhere from 25 to 35% profit after all of the Etsy fees, to make sure that after Etsy ads, buying mockups, and different softwares, you're still keeping a good percentage of that for yourself. And remember, you don't need to compete on price if your item isn't comparable. And we'll talk about that more in strategy number 6. And if you're still here at this point of the video and you're getting good value and enjoying it, put the word goose in the comments below. Strategy number 5 is avoiding mockup mistakes. If you don't know what a mockup is an image of the product that you're selling. And because I sell print-on-demand products and the product isn't actually made until it's printed and shipped, that means to make the product photos on Etsy, I have to get a blank picture of a product, which you can purchase right on Etsy. You can search, say, like mug mockup and see all the pictures of blank mugs that you can purchase and put your design onto to give the customer an idea of what it'll look like once it's made. One of the biggest mockup mistakes that I see is actually using Printify's mockups. A few of their products come with nice mockups, but the majority aren't quite the actual Etsy aesthetic. It might feel simple and easy to use the Printify mockups because they're already made for you and it's easy and ready to go, but on Etsy it really, again, is a lot all about the aesthetic. The customer is going to be looking at these mockups and we want them to feel what it would be like to own it. So a lot of the top Etsy mockups have a really trendy style. Sometimes they have really trendy jewelry, really nice makeup. Depends on the product that you're actually selling. For something like blankets, maybe if it's a baby blanket, it's hung over the side of a crib. Or if you're getting into like summer hoodies, having an actual mock-up of the hoodie of someone wearing it on a beach is so much better of a sell of the vibe of that summer hoodie than just a generic mock-up would be. You don't want to spend all that energy making the design really great and forget about the mock-up. Even a great design will really struggle to sell on a bad mock-up. So let's talk about what your main thumbnail image really needs to do, because that one's the most important. It should be taking up at least 50% of the actual thumbnail. It needs to be zoomed in enough that you can read the design, really understand it in half a second, because customers aren't coming to your store and opening every listing. They're scrolling through a bunch of tiny images. So make sure when you're making your designs and putting them on your mockups that you're zooming out and really understanding what it's gonna look like from a teeny tiny picture. Can you actually read it? Can you tell what it is? Is it immediately obvious who this is for? You don't need to purchase hundreds of photos, but even just a few really great photos will make way more of a difference than you might think. Now, I do understand why a lot of people like to use the Printify mockups because it's so fast and easy since they're already made for you. Once you switch to creating your own mockups, that can take quite a bit of time, especially if you're trying to get up 25, 50, 100 listings in a month. Making those mockups can really take time, and that's exactly why I created my own software called Simply Listed. Simply Listed is a mockup automation tool that pulls your design directly off of Printify and puts it onto your own mockups that you purchase for you. So you go out and buy your own mockups, you set up a template on Simply Listed, you tell us where the design's gonna go, what color the shirt is or the other product. And then every time you want to go make mockups, all you do is click that template, select the products you want to make mock-ups for, and then boom, all of the designs are uploaded onto those photos and you can publish them directly to Etsy. It even creates a listing video for you. And depending on when you're watching this, we are about to launch a new update where we'll actually be able to make mock-ups for multi-item listings as well, which pairs perfectly with Printify's new feature as well. And I do have a link for you down in the description if you want to give Simply Listed a try for free for 14 days, or comment the word Simply Listed and I'll send you that link as well. Now there is a little bit more to listings beyond just the mockups, and that's the listing photos. Like we talked about in the beginning, it's important to pay attention to what other types of photos you should include in your listings. To have a really high converting listing, it should answer the questions that your customers might have before they ask them. If you're a newer store, make sure you're asking for good reviews, and once you get 5 or 10, make a little page talking about how happy people have been with your items. If you're selling clothing, include something like a sizing guide instead of just a size chart, so they have a better understanding of how the shirt's actually going to fit them. If you're selling something personalized, make sure you have a really clear photo, the second or third image, explaining how to order and what the different options are. Most sellers only optimize the design, but the sellers who win consistently optimize everything. And then now onto strategy number 6, which is adding value instead of just adding listings. Let's talk about the copying trap. There's a version of this business and plenty of people out there that'll tell you they made 1,000 listings and not very many of them actually sold. Buyers can really feel when something's generic. If it looks just like everything else around it, they're going to just scroll past it. It doesn't give them a reason to actually click on that listing. They've seen it before. The shops that are actually growing on Etsy are the ones who are actually adding value. They're giving the buyers something that they genuinely aren't seeing anywhere else on the first couple pages of the search results for that product. Volume absolutely matters, but the value per listing that you're giving matters more. There's a few different ways that you can add value, and I'll walk you through them right now. Way number 1, which is really popular on Etsy, is adding personalization. If every listing in your niche already has a personalized name, date, or text, then this isn't going to be the biggest lever for you to pull. You're gonna have to add value in another way. But if you're selling in a product where no one's really offering any kind of custom name or date or address, whatever makes sense for that one, then this could be a really great way for you to add value. And Printify does have an automated personalization feature now called Printify Personalization, where they'll actually update the text and you just have to approve it every time. So that makes it so much more achievable for new sellers to get into personalization. Way number 2, we talked about a little bit earlier, which is turning items into group listings. Take a look at the item that you were planning on designing for today and see if you can turn it into a group item. One really simple way of doing this is just adding the word crew or team or squad to something. Or could this be a matching set? For example, instead of just making a design that says bride, could you make it a bride and groom matching set? Whether that's for shirts or mugs, almost any product can become a group item. Way number 3 is combining elements in a new way. My favorite way of doing this that I think really adds the most value is coming up with a new saying for that product. We actually did an entire masterclass on this in my private community the other day, so if you want to join and check that out, we'd love to have you. But coming up with new sayings for your products will help you stand out more than almost anything else. My favorite place to get inspiration for how to come up with these new sayings is looking at a totally unrelated niche. Let's say you're designing for the gardening niche and you see a bestseller that says, "I'll be in my office," and has a really beautiful watercolor painting of a garden. Let's say you're trying to find a way that you can add value with that design, and so you go looking at other niches and you see this best-selling listing that says bird nerd. It's a bird watching shirt, super funny, super cute. And so you're like, well, how could I combine that with my niche of gardening? In this case, I actually used ChatGPT to ask it if there was any other words for gardening that would rhyme with nerd, and it came up with herb nerd, which I thought was so funny, and I quickly created this graphic right here of a silly goose holding herbs using the AI built right into Kittl, my favorite design software, and I have this herb nerd super cute design in just a few seconds that looks super different than anything else in the gardening niche right now. Now, is every single one of these going to be my next hit, my next bestseller. No, that's just not how it magically works. But the better you get at this process of adding value, adding something that no one else has, a completely new saying, the more money you will absolutely make in your business, because your listings won't just be one of many, they'll be one of one. It's not just new design styles that you can use to add value though. It can also be taking trending design styles and adding them to a niche that doesn't have it yet. So if you see, say, that colorful stripes are really trending, you're seeing that a lot in a few niches, if you can be the first one to add colorful stripes with text over top of it to your niche, then that's a really great strategy. And lastly, we have the 8 to 15 rule. When you see a best-selling niche that's selling really well and you want to get into it, don't just make one design for that niche. I want you to make 8 to 15 designs for that niche. I want you to try different design styles, try different sayings, because you never know which one is really going to be the one that hits and sells well for you. Take the data from what you see ends up working for you in that niche, and then you can even apply whatever design style sells well there to other niches that you're designing for. Or you can make more designs with that same saying and really double down on what's working for people who might want something that looks just a little bit different. That's how you go from having just one lucky listing into an actual winning catalog. And then lastly, we have strategy number 7, which is to build momentum first and optimize second. A lot of new sellers spend hours looking at their favorites, looking at their shop stats, looking at their conversion rate, trying to figure out what's wrong and why they're not getting sales, all before they really have enough data for that to mean anything. Analytics are genuinely useful once you've got traction, but before that, they're really just a way of feeling busy without actually moving forward. The only number that really matters in the very beginning is how many listings you're getting put up every week in your shop. That's it. In the beginning, it's all about having a bias towards action. You need to shorten the gap between the time that you decide that you're going to make a listing today to when you actually make a design, to when you actually make that design and actually get it listed. The longer those gaps are, the slower your progress will be. It's all about what's the most important thing right now. Is what you're working on in your business helping get a new great listing up in front of buyers today? And if not, then you might need to reprioritize. The sellers who quit early almost always quit within the same window. They get between 30 and 100 listings up in their store. And getting that many listings up is enormous. But it takes a little while for those listings to actually gain traction. The results feel invisible. Sometimes it can take 30 to 60 days to get that first sale. So if you're in that slog, in that beginning, or what people like to call the dip, just know that that's normal. And right now it's important to focus on the progress over the perfection. If you're past that and you're not seeing results, then go back to strategy number 6 and make sure that you're really actually honestly adding value. The shops that get 100,000 sales didn't get those on accident or overnight. They didn't get there because everything worked out immediately. They got there because they stuck in there long enough to see what worked and then to do more of what was working. So stick with it, you've got this, and I'll see you in the next one.